What happens to equity awards when employees retire? In this video, I'm going to answer that question using data from a recent survey by the NASPP and Deloitte Consulting. Let's start by looking at the percentage of companies that pay out equity awards to their retirees. And this percentage will vary by equity vehicle. Nearly 70% of companies pay out restricted stock and unit awards to retirees. That does mean, however, that at 32% of companies, retirees forfeit their restricted stock and unit awards. The percentage of companies that pay out stock options to retirees drops a little bit to 64%. And nearly 80% of companies pay out performance-based awards to their retirees. Why so many payouts of performance-based awards? Well, I think it's because performance-based awards are typically granted to high-ranking employees who often qualify for more generous retirement benefits than the regular workforce. Let's also talk a minute about the timing of payouts of equity awards to retirees. For restricted stock and unit awards, 33% of companies accelerate vesting and pay out the award at the time that the employee retires. 31% of companies continue vesting after the employee retires and pay out the award at the time of the originally scheduled vesting event. And then, of course, we already know that around a third of companies, retirees forfeit their equity awards. For stock options, the percentage of companies that accelerate vesting drops to just around a quarter of respondents, and 36% of companies continue vesting the options after retirement. So that covers the timing of payouts for service-based awards. Let's also talk about performance-based awards, because here we're going to see a pretty significant departure from the data that we just saw. Only 7% of companies pay out performance-based awards at the time of retirement. Instead, the predominant practice is for companies to wait until the end of the performance award and pay out to retirees at that time. That accounts for nearly 2/3 of overall respondents to our survey. Why? Why wait until the end of the performance period? Well, there are a number of reasons for that, but one very good reason, and that is that waiting until the end of the performance period ensures that the retirees only receive a payment to the extent that the performance conditions are achieved. This ensures that retirees don't receive a better payout than the current employees who still work for the company, which only seems fair. So now I've covered what happens to equity awards upon retirement, but I bet you still have one last question, which is, who is a retiree? How do companies determine who's eligible for retirement treatment? At 46% of companies, employees have to meet both an age and a service requirement to be eligible to retire. So, for example, employees might have to reach at least age 55 and have 10 years of service to be eligible for retirement treatment. So, I know you're looking at this pie chart, though, and you're saying, Barb, 46%? That's not even half. What do the majority of companies do? Well, the other 54% of companies are all over the map, or the pie chart, so to speak. 14% of companies require employees to reach a combination of age plus service. What this means is that their age, when added to their service, has to equal a specified number. For example, their age added to their service would have to equal 65. At another 15% of companies, employees have a couple of different criteria they could meet. They could meet either just a minimum age requirement, or they could meet an age and a service requirement. So for an example of this would be employees can retire when they reach age 65, or if they have 10 years of service, they can retire at age 55. At 13% of companies, employees only have to reach a minimum age. That's nice and straightforward. But that brings us to our last bucket, which is the other bucket. This is another 13% of companies. These companies are really all over the map. There are a whole bunch of different approaches that companies take in this bucket, and really not a whole lot of consensus among them. For some of them, employees have to meet either an age or a service requirement, so one or the other. But for a lot of them, there's some sort of more complicated combination of different criteria that employees can meet. So for example, one might be that employees have to meet a minimum age, or if they don't meet that minimum age, they could meet a minimum age and a years of service requirement, or if they don't meet that, maybe if their age and their service combined together equals a certain number, then they're eligible to retire. It turns out that there is pretty much an infinite number of ways you can combine an age requirement with a years of service requirement to define what retirement eligibility is. And these 13% of companies are pretty creative about it. So that is my summary of retirement provisions and equity awards. All of the data that I present in this video is from the 2021 Equity Incentives Design Survey, which is co-sponsored by the NASPP and Deloitte Consulting. I hope you enjoyed my video. If you did, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. That really helps us out, and it means that you're notified when we post new videos. That's a win-win for everybody. Thanks for watching.